Hi, beautiful souls. It's Sadhana. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my subscribers. And I am carrying on with my previous video, the Pip Pip Marseille deck response to Kelly Bear. And I decided at the end, after I had gone through the decks I wanted to share with you, to do a side-by-side of the Tarot de Maria Celia and the Marshmallow Marseille, because they are very similar in coloration, size, card quality, and all of that. And I just thought a side-by-side might be really helpful if you're trying to decide which of these two smaller decks to purchase. The Tarot de Maria Celia is available in one of the US Games tins, so that's really a nice feature. The lids of these tins do come off if you travel with them in a bag, so I would suggest putting these in a little pouch, just also for protection as well too. Same with the Marshmallow Marseille. The artist is Lynyrd-Jym Narciso, and it's a very fun little deck. It seems very cartoony to me. The Marshmallow Marseille is by the Wandering Oracle, and this is a cardboard box with a magnetic side opening. And it has really weathered well as far as damage goes. The box has done a lot, held up a lot more than the cards have. There's some kind of an issue with the holographic backs, and somehow that impression shows through a bit on the cards, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see that on the video, but yeah. So this is kind of the basic. Let's just do a fan here so you can get a general impression. So green is the primary color with white in the background, as opposed to the Tarot de Maria Celia, which is more, also green is a primary color, but it has tea-stained backs. So you've got quite a different background color. And if you do pair your Marseille decks or your tarot decks in general with oracle decks, the coloration may be a factor in deciding which of these two you want to use. All right, so let's begin. The card size is not exactly the same. You can see here that the Marshmallow Marseille is just a little wider, but it is the same length of card. But they're both really, really small and very easy to handle. Okay, so we start with the Fool, and you'll see on the Marshmallow Marseille that the names are in various places on the deck. So we have Le Fou and Le Mat. And the numbers will vary also in place where you see here. And we have Le Batteur. And some people might prefer the simpler color, fewer colors, because these like I said, these ones really do look like a cartoon. And here we have the Papes, La Papes. Very similar as far as what's included in the card. We do have the night sky behind here, which is kind of pretty. Okay, L'Impératrice. And sometimes on this deck too, the names are a little more difficult to read if you're not familiar with what the names are in French. And then the Emperor. And so far we have had, I believe everybody's facing the same direction, which I haven't checked with a traditional Tarot de Marseille if they are always facing the same way, but you'll see their wands are a little different. And then we have Le Pape. So the Hierophant looks quite similar as far as symbology on the card. We have the two pillars. And if we compare that with the High Priestess, so in the Tarot de Marseille, she does not have the two pillars. And you can see this one here. La Papesse here. Okay, and then we have the Lovers, L'Amoureux, and pardon my French accent. This one is a little more close up, and you can see the expressions on the faces, I think, in a little more detail here. But in both of these, we do have a Cupid-like angel pointing the arrow down toward the three others on the card. Okay, and then we have the Chariot. Kind of cool to see these side by side. Very similar in position, body position, just different, slightly different perspective as far as distance goes. So the Tarot de Marseille tends to be a little bit closer up than the Marshmallow Marseille. And Justice. So in both, she has the scales, the sword, wings, kind of unusual wings in this one here. Similar colorations in her robe. Right, this card does have quite a few more colors. And then the Hermit, which I believe I shared with you in the previous video. And again, they're facing in the same direction, Le Hermit. And yeah, so this deck here sticks to the more, the older style of Roman numerals, and this one has the more contemporary style of Roman numerals. And then we have the Rue Fortune, La Rue de Fortune. You can see the little de here. Sorry, I was just comparing the titles. Yeah. And this one we have, you can see there's one creature going up. There's somebody down here. Someone's on the top. We should have four. 1, 2, 3. Maybe not. Maybe in the Tarot de Marseille there is just 3. And then Strength. La Force. And Le Pendu. So not exactly the same body posture. His hands are bent at the elbow here. This is kind of really funny, actually, a posture. And the legs are, the bent leg is going in an opposite direction, if that matters to you. And here you can see his ankle is actually tied. And here, he is not actually tied. This loop is not around his foot. So either he has a nail in his foot or something magical is going on. Now this one is numbered 13, and I don't believe there is, yeah, so there's no number and no title on this one. But this one does have the number and the title, which is not traditional in the older decks. And the skeleton is facing opposite directions here. Temperance. Kind of a similar thing going on. And Le Diable. I quite like the Green Devil in Celia. If you've never done a walkthrough or if you've never read cards upside down, it's really kind of fun. When I shoot my videos, most of the time I'm looking at the cards upside down, and it's so fun because you do see things you don't see when you look at the cards right side up. Just like when I'm reviewing the videos and I'm watching the cards through, you know, through the camera lens, it's completely different. La Maison Dieu. And they're quite similar, so they've already reached the ground on both of the cards. A little more going on in the air here. And then we have the Star. Love, love this moon card. I think this is one of the prettiest cards in the Marshmallow Marseille. La Lune. And the sun, the moon here looks quite solar, you know, it looks just by the way that it's drawn. And here, you know, it looks like we have a crescent moon and a full moon together, and which is kind of special. We do have that something similar here. We have a small crescent moon here, but I don't quite understand the solar radiation on that. And maybe that's typical in Marseille decks, and I just never really paid attention to that before. So there we have Le Soleil, so the sun. Le Jugement. Very similar artwork. And then we have Le Mont. Here we have the leaves, and here the robe. Scroll, scroll. The same animals. So very similar for the world card. And then we go to the Ace of Bâton. And I really love all the aces in both of these decks. I think they're so expressive. Really fun cards. And you'll notice that in these decks, the aces are not numbered. And then we have the twos. So remember, in the Tarot de Marseille, the wands, the bâtons, are straight and the arrows are curvy, if you're new to this. And the artwork in between and around the batons and the pentacles and so forth on this deck is a little bit more, it flourishes a little bit more than on this card. So you have a lot of white space on the Marshmallow Marseille. And sometimes that works really well, you know, to keep that simple, to keep it simple. 3, I'll go through the minors a little more quickly. 4, and just pointing out again the traditional variation of the Roman numerals. And I hope I've got these all going the right way. 5. 6. I did show a few of these in the previous video. 7. 8. By the time we get to the 9s and the 10s, the cards are so full. You can really, I think that's an important part of reading Marseille, is to understand that the amount of energy and how it reaches its potential and its fullness, you know, at the end of each of the suits. All right, and then we go to the Valet de Bâton, so the page. Just having a quick glance here to see if there's anything sticking out that quite similar, right? The way that they're drawn, the way that they're illustrated, and then we have the Queen, la Reine. The baton, her baton is different than others in the deck, so you're right, it looks more like an oar. They vary quite a bit through the deck, so, and then we have the King. Le Roi. I really should practice speaking French more. Here, his knees are quite wide open. Let's have a look at the Queen too, because I think traditionally the Queen and the King of Wands have that kind of gesture of that, you know, the sexuality, wide open legs, which carries over, of course, to the RWS as well too. And then we go to the Ace of Cups. You'll also notice that in the Marshmallow Marseille, the illustrations are a little more condensed. So what do I mean? Like this is, it's more spread out. So this is wider, these are narrower. I quite like this. You can see more detail in this Ace of Cups. And then we go to the 2. A pure construction of spirit. I actually love, there's something about the 2 of Cups in the Tarot de Marseille that I really like. And there is so much energy in this one especially, and I know I showed you in the previous video, even in the Triomphe de la Luna, the amount of energy and the coming together, the weaving of the 2 cups is really reflected in the plants that are in between the 2 cups. So some of the simple things, some of the things I notice are that this flower here is kind of blocking the energy. So we have the 3 cups here, and the energy coming out of the top cup is a little bit, it's blocked by this flower. I don't know, sometimes I just see unusual things. And then we have the 4. So the balance of the 4. And then we have the 5. I love how this plant is coming out of the center one here. And like I said in the previous video, these things may or may not stick out to you in different readings. And so we have the harmony, the balance of the 6, 7, 8, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 9. So the cards, you know what I mean? Like at the 9 and the 10, the cards are so full. So you can really speak to the abundance of energy in the 9s of the 10s in the Tarot de Marseille, or a pip deck if that is reflected, which usually it is. All right, so this one we have 3, 3, 3, and then 1, so 10. You may want to speak to the larger cup. And this one we have 4, 4, and then 2 in the center with the larger cup down on the bottom. So that may or may not draw attention to surrounding cards in a reading. And then we have the Valet de Coups. Is there a fish? Okay, the Cavalier. And then the Queen of Cups. So nice. I really don't get why these, I don't know. I suppose these are buttons and not nipples. I really don't know, but I really like that this one doesn't have the nipple buttons. And this beautiful, beautiful cup here. I really like all of the US Games decks that come in tins. They are really easy to handle. And I'll try to show you what I was talking about with the tarot, with the Marshmallow Marseille, with the quality of the cards. But there's definitely something about the backs that shines through and appears to wear on the cards. Okay, and then we go to the swords. To me, this looks like a sunflower. I'm not sure why the sunflower is here. We have this kind of similar, the sleeve of the hand, but the sleeve of the hand looks, which would indicate more Wands energy to me. And then we'll go through these quite quickly. Beautiful. So yeah, it's really a personal preference whether you like the white space or not. And now I don't think I have this upside down. I might. It might be supposed to go this way, so the sword is facing up. That looks better. So we have the 3 of Swords, 4, and here we have the swords going in opposite direction because this 5 is in the right position. So here the sword is going down and here the sword is going up. So I'm not sure about the 3. I'd have to look back through an original video and see an original unboxing and see which way the swords are going. And then we have the 6 beginning to get very busy, and then the 7. So this is kind of unique with this, the 7th sword going through at an angle, and here the 7th sword is facing upwards. And like I said, those the swords that are on their own may be pointing to something, and more often than not, I do include that or bring attention to that in a reading. So you can see the Roman numerals are really important, especially when a card is as busy as this one. And we have the traditional 9, 5 plus 4. And again, the sword is at an angle and the sword is going up. And then we have the 10 with the cross swords in opposite directions. And then the valet d'épée. Quite similar. And then the Knight of Swords. So the artists haven't strayed too far from the traditional facings of the cards. And then the final suit of Pentacles, which is, I have to say, my favorite suit in the Marseille decks. I just love the ornamental quality of the Pentacles. And there's a few of the Pippish decks that I shared, and some of the ones I didn't share, that do a really good job with the Pippish Pentacles. Lily White is one that comes to mind. Really well done. And you'll notice that on the Pentacles here, the 2 in this deck, the 2, and I do not know if it's an error, the 2, the 3 do not have a Roman numeral. The 4 does not have a Roman numeral. And I'm not sure if that's an error or not. And then we get to the 5, and there is. 6. So it's quite a different look in these two decks, right? The Tarot de Maria Celia is very the flowers flourish. I said that before. They're really kind of obvious and a lot more subtle in the Marshmallow. 8. 9 of Pentacles. So sticking close to traditional positions. And the 10. And then our final court cards. So we have the Valet. And the Cavalier. Just doing a quick scan here. So remember, when you're so often the down below in the description, you don't see, like here you have Cavalier de Denier, Denier. But on this deck, you don't have that. So you mustn't, like sometimes, like this is part of the rain it looks like, but it almost looks like a baton. So you just want to kind of check with what's going on. And of course he has a sword here and he has a sword here, but this is the Knight of Pentacles. Just pointing out these couple things if that gets confusing for anyone. And then we have the Queen, who also has a, what's the word? I'm just trying to think what you call that. Her staff, not staff. Staff isn't the word I was looking for. And then the final card is the King of Pentacles. So yeah, so just a quick walkthrough of these two Marseille decks that are quite similar in quality, stick quite close to a traditional Marseille deck, but they have their own, definitely have their own style. So let me know which one you prefer in the comments below, and I look forward to reading them. Stay well, my friends. Namaste.